Well, maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't, but maybe you have. Inflation is really bad. It's the worst it's been since 1982, since Ronald Reagan was president, which of course was left over from the Jimmy Carter malaise, blah, blah, blah. We've got costs of everything going through the roof. Gasoline prices are, of course, way up. But you know what I've really noticed about gasoline isn't necessarily the prices, although the prices are high. They're not as high as they've ever been. But what I've really noticed about gas is the lines to get gas. I lived here for almost 5 years, and this is the first time I've ever seen the lines the way they are. Now, part of the problem is they keep shutting down pumps at all the gas stations. So I don't know if that's a shortage issue or not. I have no idea. But I know that the lines, and because of the way the gas stations are built here, the way they're lined up, it's never clear what direction you're supposed to go, except at Costco. Costco's the only one that has, go this way, the line goes this way. Everywhere else is just sort of this hodgepodge. And it's a couple of times has led to some people honking and yelling at each other, and you know the drill. Anyway, gas is expensive. Groceries are incredibly expensive now. I'm told that they're up 4%. I don't believe that, simply because our own grocery bill, has gone up far more significantly than that. Things that I normally like to buy, but we're not buying them right now because they're just too expensive. It's crazy. And of course, the question is, what's causing all this? There are any number of excuses. Supply chain issues. Remember this? What happened to supply chain issues? Did that just vanish? I don't know. A few weeks ago, we were all hyper about supply chain issues. And now suddenly, the president came out and guaranteed that there would be a Christmas, which is weird to me, but he came out and guaranteed it. And suddenly, the supply chain issues vanished. They don't hear nothing about it. Could it be that causing inflation? Could it be COVID-19? I mean, clearly COVID-19 has had a huge impact on our economy as a whole. Is it possible that COVID-19 is causing our issues with inflation, our costs to go up? Of course, we all know that those aren't the real answers. Those are rhetorical questions because we all know what the real answer is. The problem is we're letting our country be run by politicians. Politicians are the last people on the face of the planet who are going to admit that we know the cause of all this. And even when we start blaming them for it, they're going to respond in a way that isn't what normal people would do. You may have also heard that the president's approval ratings, which is a stupid thing, are cratering. I mean, they're just nosediving. And of course, this has Democrats concerned. This has people concerned because, oh my God, his approval ratings are the lowest they've ever, and God help the vice president, her approval ratings are the lowest ever. There's never been a vice president lower rated than Kamala Harris, which I find hard to believe. I mean, we've had a vice president shoot a guy in the face with a shotgun, and his ratings are higher than Kamala Harris's. We've had a vice president convicted of tax evasion, and supposedly his ratings are high. Really, folks, I don't know who the hell's rating approval ratings for vice president or why. It's stupid, but we're told that these ratings are cratering, and of course, this is a problem. And why are they cratering? Well, it's kind of funny because I was watching the local news this morning, and they were telling me why the approval ratings for President Biden are cratering so badly. You want to guess what it is? Now, you might think it's because of inflation. You'd be wrong. You might think it would be because of the economy, but you'd be wrong. It's none of those things. It had to do with gun violence. The president hasn't been strong enough against gun violence, and that's why his approval ratings are cratering. I'm not kidding. This is what they told me this morning. And I thought, well, that's really strange because you can't get on the web, you can't get onto anything now without hearing about inflation and the economy. All I hear is James Carville back in 1992. It's the economy, stupid. Now, look, I don't care what you think about James Carville. Don't care what you think about Bill Clinton. I don't think there's ever been a more truer euphemism used about electioneering. It's the economy. And the economy is what drives and saves politicians. Good economy, politicians, let it ride. Bad economy, you're out. It's the economy, stupid. But we're told, after a big old meeting at the White House earlier last week, where all the media folks went to the White House or communicated with the White House, and they had this big meeting, we're suddenly told that everything is just great. Did you know that? Everything is just fantastic. It's all amazing. It couldn't be any better. In fact, the White House Chief of Staff took to Twitter to tell me that.
Hi, I'm Ron Klain, White House Chief of Staff. There's a lot of talk about how the economy is doing. Here are a few key facts that show the economy is growing and recovering under President Biden. Last week, the government reported that the unemployment rate's down to 4.2%. That's 3 years faster than experts predicted it would happen before we passed the rescue plan back in March. How many jobs? We've created 6 million jobs this year. That's more than any president in history has created in his first year in office. One reason we've created so many jobs, last year at this time, no Americans were fully vaccinated. Today, over 70% of all adults in this country are fully vaccinated. Getting America vaccinated is getting America back to work. A year ago, there were over 21 million people on unemployment. Today, that number is down to just over 2 million. Amazing progress in a year. And the recovery goes beyond jobs. Look at this chart on retail sales, up $90 billion since last year. That's an economy that's humming. So those are just a few key points about our economic recovery. To learn more, go to whitehouse.gov.
Isn't that just amazing? The White House Chief of Staff apparently has a lot of time to draw charts in the 21st century using easels and the likes of that, which was pretty funny. But everything's just great. This is the most miraculous economy ever. Didn't you know that? For all of that, though, I would expect the White House Chief of Staff, because, look, I've studied politics. I know how governments work. And the White House Chief of Staff is going to tell me what he wants me to hear. Yeah, it's like the dog meme, right? With the fires, everything around. Oh, this is fine. Yeah, I don't unexpect that. Jim Cramer, however, he's a media person, a reporter. This is what he had to say. And I want you to listen really close to this one, because this one make you wonder.
All right, first of all, to me, we have the strongest economy perhaps I have ever seen. See that number this morning, the unemployment number? It's the best in years, not best in 69. We have all spotted the endless help wanted signs, the housing and apartment shortages, the tremendous demand for goods and services, a marvel to behold. Oh, people are confident about their jobs. I say fantastic. And the ability to even get better ones if they want to. They're spending more than I've ever seen, but they're doing it with cash, not on credit. They're doing so in a roaring 20s style.
Now, did you catch that? It's the roaring 20s. Everything is going great. It's the most miraculous economy of all time. It's the best economy we've ever had. It's just like the roaring 20s. When I heard him say that the first time, I thought to myself, this guy can't possibly have seriously said that. He really couldn't have. Number one, the economy in the 1920s was pretty good. I mean, Calvin Coolidge was famous for saying the business of America is business, and business was booming. But it was all underpinned by, let's just call it questionable methodology. And of course, the roaring 20s ended with the Great Depression, the greatest, economic disaster to hit our country until 2008, we're told, which I don't believe. I don't believe that the 2008 recession was anywhere near what the Great Depression was. But we're told that it is. And the reason I say that is because I knew people who lived through the Great Depression. And believe me, they get stories that are nowhere near what we went through in 2008, 2009. The roaring 20s would be a really bad example of telling me how this economy is doing really great, unless you weren't quite telling me the truth, which of course is part of the issue here. Whenever you start losing things, ratings, approval ratings, the economy's in the tank, Governments have a policy. They have a book. They have a standard thing that they follow. And step number one of that is get the media on your side, have them report what you want them to say, no matter what. And rule number two, this is the most important rule, change the rules. Make the reality to match the rhetoric. Or if you can say to people, this is the way it really is, and this is what we're telling you it is. And if you don't see it that way, well, you're just ignorant. You just don't understand things. How can you possibly understand economics, Dave? You're a nuclear weapons specialist in the submariner. You don't know nothing about economics. How can you possibly understand it? You're just a fill in the blank, whatever. You just think you're spending more money on groceries and gas and things like you don't really understand how it works, you see. So what you do is you change the rules. You make the system different. This reminds me of when we were kids, right? So I had two younger brothers, and so you'd be playing games, and of course, as the older brother, you want to win the games. But your younger brothers get older and better at things, and so what you do is you change the rules. Oh, what you didn't know is da-da-da-da-da. Remember the first time wasn't the first time I was playing chess, but it was the first game I was playing of chess, which I thought I had gotten pretty good at. And a guy made the en passant move on me. And if you don't know what that is, it's a chess move. It's very unusual. It's not seen all often, or maybe it is, I don't know. But it was something new to me. And I had never seen it before. And I threw a fit. This guy's cheating. What the heck is he doing? Blah, 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 blah. It's called en passant, Dave. It's in passing. It's a legal move. But you're changing the rules on me. It's politically inconvenient to report what true inflation really is. You understand that? If you don't believe that, look around at history and see what happens in small banana republic countries when the truth finally gets out. What happens to leaders? They get shot at. It's also why politicians on both sides are always eager to tweak the definition of inflation ever so slightly, or maybe not so slightly, so that it appears to be less than it actually is. Because you see, having a low inflation rate means higher approval ratings. Well, gosh, I'm paying more for groceries, but inflation is really low, so Biden must be doing a great job. It must be the miracle economy. It must be the best economy ever. It's the roaring 20s. Now, lest you misunderstand what I'm saying, both sides have done this. Both sides have tweaked the definition of inflation so that it makes them look better. Right now, today, inflation is at a X percent. Let's just call it 4%. It may be 4.8% or 4.6%. Who knows? But let's just say it's 4% today, for example. The problem with that number is that it doesn't include the same things that it used to include. So back in the 70s and 80s, they included housing prices in that inflationary number. Do you know what would happen? You know what that number would be if they used the same equation today that they used back then? It would be into double digits. And double digits, of course, is what got Jimmy Carter giving speeches about malaise and boycotting Olympics and soon to be ex-presidents. They changed the rules so that inflation wouldn't look so bad. And of course, they did that under Republican presidents. They've done it under Democrat presidents. They've slowly tweaked this down so that the number, the inflation percentage, doesn't look so bad. Both sides have done it. And guess what? It's a miracle economy. It's the greatest economy you've ever seen. It's the most amazing thing that's ever happened. And by the middle of next year, what's happening next year? Oh yeah, midterm elections. Write this down, because I guarantee you this is coming. Write it down. Dave said, December 13th, 2021, Dave said, by the middle of next year, right before the midterms, inflation will be at record lows. Why do I know that? Because they're going to change the rules again. And they're not even being subtle about it. I'm not going to tell you all these things are going to do, because it doesn't translate good on radio. It doesn't translate good on a podcast. But the bottom line is they're going to change the rules. They're going to take certain things out of there that will make it look less than it actually is. You'll still be paying more for less, but that inflation number will be better. And so the politicians will stand up and go, look what we've done, this miraculous, this incredible miracle. It should make you cry. It should choke you up. It's been so amazing what President Biden has done, and the Democrat Party is like, please vote for us. And people will stand there and go, people that'll go, look, inflation's better than it was under Trump. The economy's better than it was under Trump. It's better than it was under Reagan. And you'll still be paying more for less. And you'll be saying to yourself as you shell out money from your wallet, well, if things are going so great, why am I struggling so bad? It must be me, right? I must be the problem. Which, of course, is what they want you to believe. Because if you're the problem, then they can have the solution for you. And it harkens back to what was once fiction and is now seemingly an operations manual. 1984, and the Ministry of Truth, where they tell you that truth is whatever they create it to be. I'm fascinated by that book. I'm fascinated by the O'Brien character. I'm even fascinated by the 2 + 2 = 5 concept. Not because we all know that 2 + 2 = 5. And that's the ridiculous part, is even in the book, nobody believes that 2 + 2 = 5. It's a control issue. You understand it? It's a created truth. And this is what O'Brien is saying to Winston as he's torturing him. You want the torture to stop? Just say it. Just say 2 + 2 = 5. We'll stop torturing you. But as long as you keep believing the truth, which we have decided is not the truth, we're going to continue to make it hurt. As long as you continue to say inflation is out of control, the president sucks, blah, 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 they're going to make it hurt because they can continue to spend and print money, which is all the things that cause inflation, because it'll make them look better. It'll make people vote for them. And at the end of the day, no matter what they do, no matter what number they tell you that inflation is, you and I will still be paying more for less. Why? Because in this country today, 2 + 2 = 5.